Welcome everybody to today's Economic and Industry Development Committee. Just noting that I have assumed the chairmanship today due to the Deputy Mayor's absence. All councillors are in attendance that are members of the committee other than the Deputy Mayor, so I will move a leave of absence for Councillor Nicole Jonick, seconded by Councillor Fechner. Sorry, the first time I've ever read the nameplate. No, the nameplate's in front of us. I don't know why. Anyway, I'll put that to the vote. Those in favour? That's unanimous and carried. Do any committee members have declarations of interest to make this morning? No. There being no declarations, we'll move on to the confirmation of minutes. All right. Sorry, a bit fatigued. Skipping every second line. I'll do the acknowledgement of country. Ipswich City Council respectfully acknowledges the traditional owners as custodians of the land upon which we meet. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging as the keepers of the traditions, cultures and stories of a proud people. We'll move on to the confirmation of minutes. Do any members of the committee have questions on that?
No.
There being no questions, we'll seek a mover.
Happy
Councillor Fechner. Seconded by Councillor Kunzelman. Any discussion this morning on the minutes? There being no discussion, I'll put the matter to the vote. Those in favour? That's unanimous and carried. First officers' report today is the Ipswich Economic Update. I'd like to call on Ms Matson. Do any members of the committee have questions? Ms Matson, for the purpose of getting the discussion going, what are the highlights and what's the general state of the Ipswich economy?
Thank you, Councillor. And before I commence, Kat Matson, Manager of Economic and Community Development. Look, the highlight for me out of this particular report, Chair, was that Ipswich's economy is actually tracking ahead of Queensland in general. I call that out because we often feel like Ipswich is doing worse than the rest of the state. We talk about the challenges, we talk about the fast growth, and often we have this sense that we're not performing as well. So I actually found it quite reassuring that our economy is tracking ahead of the Queensland trend in terms of annual change, and the notion that we are growing faster than the rest of the state.
If we are growing faster, what are the big challenges for us to focus on as an elected group?
Good old growing pains, huh? So the key challenges that we still are managing is youth unemployment, and as mentioned in the previous committee, focusing on our youth engagement and therefore youth employment skills is a key priority for this council in consultation with all other stakeholder groups. One of the other challenges that we face is the appropriate skill development for the appropriate industries that are growing in the region. For example, our top 3 employment sectors in the region are healthcare and social assistance, manufacturing, which is a traditional strength for Ipswich, as well as retail trade, but the fastest growing industry by employment is healthcare and social assistance. So ensuring that we are providing those work skills and workforce skills, to the relevant industries and then providing job and employment pathways is really important to us. The final challenge that I want to call out to is the ongoing connectivity issues within the region, particularly public transport. One of the key inhibitors to youth employment is accessibility to the places of employment. If they don't yet have their licence, but they need a licence, if we don't have good public transport routes, then it's very hard for them to actually get to their places of employment, which is what keeps them underemployed.
Mayor Harding.
Thank you, Chair. Ms Matson, I know that you work closely with the state government and Jobs Queensland and so on. How does that work when it comes to knowing what our trends are, what jobs we know that are coming up, and how do we make sure that the skilling is happening at the high schools and the apprentices and at uni?
It's a complex question and it's a series of ongoing conversations, Mayor. We need to continue working with all stakeholder groups and also understanding each of our best roles to ensure that we're all doing the very best that we can. Sometimes it's a lack of awareness that is holding us back, not a lack of opportunity. Sometimes it's a lack of coordination to know that, oh, we could have accessed an XYZ service. We are in the process of refreshing the economic development strategy for the city, and a big part of that will be establishing a coordination group that can continue to meet regularly. We have, for example, a local jobs recovery task force that was stood up last year, leveraging the strengths and the learnings from those kind of groups is going to be what helps us continue to ensure that all of those opportunities are accessible to all, but also that we're working on the gaps.
I have a gut feel, so I could be completely out of this, but I often look at, with youth unemployment as well, the importance of having jobs available for, high school kids, so they're working part-time while they're at high school. That's usually a very good way of, ensuring that, kids do have jobs after school as well. Do we have any figures on how that's going?
I don't have figures to hand. I do know anecdotally, though, that some of the significant changes both in workplace laws in terms of minimum hours of shifts, as well as automation of some of those entry-level jobs, has meant that there is a nationwide shortage of those kind of opportunities. Okay. As a mother of teenagers, it astounds me how hard it is to not be able to get a job for school attendees, not even school leavers. So that is an ongoing challenge. We're working with the schools as well as with the TAFEs to better understand the challenge, but also to increase not just employment opportunities, but also volunteering opportunities for our young people. So they are building those skills, which therefore increases their opportunity to get employment.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Any further questions from the committee this morning? Thank you, Ms Matson. All right. I'll seek a mover for the economic update. There's just the one recommendation there. Moved by Mayor Harding, seconded by Councillor Kunzelman. Any discussion this morning from the committee?
I think, if I may say, Chair, just, all the predictions of the growth here in Ipswich are eventuating. They're not just forecasts, they are happening. And the importance of public transport, that trunk infrastructure for us, so for us to grow and having those, so we can have the jobs here locally as well. Really delighted to see some of the new businesses coming on board here. The Coles New Distribution Centre opening up with 500 local jobs in Redbank, Saab Defence Industries in Bundamba, and so on. So, and the new satellite hospital in your patch in Ripley, the $40 million investment by Queensland Health is tremendous.
Thank you, Mayor. I concur in regards to some of the growing areas. The Ripley Valley State Secondary College still doesn't have grade 11 and 12 operating, but already up to 600 students. There's certainly a shortage of bus and rail because we know about how important the Ipswich to Springfield rail is. And Redbank Plains, again, still growing, still requires that connectivity. So they're two sort of emerging large populations of young people that I've seen physically disconnected from opportunities. So I agree with you that public transport's such a huge thing for us. Any further discussion this morning? All right, I'll put the recommendation to the vote. Those in favour of adopting, that's unanimous and carried. This morning we'll move on to the Small Business Resilience and Growth Funding Program. Do any members of the committee have questions on this one? All right. Do any members of the committee wish to move it? Moved by Councillor Fechner and seconded by Mayor Harding. Any discussion from the committee this morning? Yeah.
I just know from the work yourself, but also the Chair, the Deputy Mayor, there's been a lot of work in getting the nuances right with the grant there to make sure that it does actually go where it's needed by local businesses. So it's great to see that we're sort of agile enough to accommodate the needs of the local businesses. Yeah,
it's no mean feat, and I'd like to congratulate the officers on their work. The economy is obviously rapidly restructuring about every 13 seconds at the moment, and we've got to keep on it. Who knows what the next year will bring. It's just, it is what it is.
It is, and it's so interesting that already 33 businesses have gone into that reinvigorate, which is the upgrade or update your business through physical changes or signage and stuff, and 30 businesses have taken us up on the go digital routes with business looking how to do get new customers and grow revenue and increase their online presence.
Any further discussion on that matter this morning? That being the case, I'll put the recommendation to the vote. Those in favour of adopting? That's unanimous and carried. Our fourth item today is the event sponsorship for the Gathering 2022. Do any members of the committee have questions of the relevant officer on this item? No. Right, I'll seek a mover from the committee. Mayor Harding, seconded by Councillor Fechner. Any discussion this morning?
Just bring on the gathering.
Yeah. All right, I'll put the recommendations to the vote. Those in favour? That's unanimous and carried. We'll move on to our last item today, the event sponsorship for the Ipswich Cup 2022. Any questions this morning from the committee? I'll seek a mover then. Moved by Mayor Harding, seconded by Councillor Fechner. Any discussion on this matter this morning?
I think it's just great that the residents of Ipswich are supporting, something that is one of the biggest attractions in our city, the Ipswich Cup. So it's great to see.
Yep. Any further discussion? There being no further discussion, I'll put the recommendation to the vote. Those in favour of adopting? Councillor Kunzman? That's unanimous and carried. You're welcome to vote however you wished there. Just no pressure from the chair. There's no notices of motion this morning or matters arising. I'll call the meeting to a close at 12:03. In regards to the next meeting, there's one report. Should we have it in 10 minutes? Yeah, okay. The next meeting will be in 10 minutes.